Steam Next Fest is here once again. I've done so many of these that these intros are getting hard to write for without just sounding the same. Here are some of the games that I've been playing during the festival, but as usual, no guarantee these demos will stay up afterwards. With that out of the way, let's get into it. MOTORSLICE is a 3D action parkour game made by Regular Studio and published by Top Hat Studios. You control a girl named simply P as she traverses across a dilapidated megastructure using her athletic prowess. And also a chainsaw. Primarily, this game is focused on the thrill of movement, the flow of parkouring, which is apparently a verb according to spellcheck, so we'll stick with it. We can jump, slide, wall run either horizontally or vertically, and it is by combining these moves that we manage to make our way through the level. We can also use our chainsaw to rip our way up and along walls, which is a creative use of the tool. Of course, we also fight with it, and chainsaw combat is actually very simple. There's no dedicated dodge or parry or lock on or anything. Enemies die in one hit, as I imagine most things do to a chainsaw, even if I'd question taking apart a JCB in one swipe. But these enemies are meant to be dispatched fast, an obstacle for you to quickly surpass and resume your flow state. Or not. The longer you move uninterrupted, then the quicker P will run, which I think is where one of the hooks for the game will be for a lot of people. Managing to complete these levels in the fastest time possible without falling too hard and getting interrupted, or just flat out failing a jump. That's not to say there's nothing for non-speedrunning types. There is a story going on in the game, though one we only get small glimpses of in this demo, mostly from little cutscenes characterized as slacking off or taking a break, which I guess plays into the mindset of someone who is taking it slow in the fast game. P talks to their robot drone, who is also the player camera for the game, and it's clear that the interactions with P herself are meant to be one of the main selling points. P is a cute anime girl. The developers clearly like her a lot, and hope you do too. She's lovingly animated. You can interact with her on the main menu and make her blush, complete with her brushing away your actual mouse cursor. And there is even, I kid you not, a button on the controller that is solely dedicated to zooming in on her face, and she gets shy if you do that long enough as well. Certainly someone behind the scenes is hoping their waifu is appreciated, and I'm sure some people playing the game will. And will then be traumatized for the amount of gory deaths she will endure. I'm not down on the game for trying to hook weeaboos. I mean, I live in a glass house here. And it's a profitable endeavor if you play your cards right. Plus, considering the game takes quite a bit of influence from Nier Automata, what with its ruined world and mechanical enemies, I think that it doing so is inevitable. There's also a bit of Metal Gear Rising in here too, especially the way the robots are sliced up by the chainsaw. Some interactions feel a bit stiff, like the swinging. Chainsawing walls feels like it needs a little bit of oomph when you make a connection too, and I really struggled to get around this one corner while shimmying about. Ultimately though, none of this matters, because the demo ends with you fighting an enormous dump truck and having to climb all over it, cutting it up inside and out in tricky climbing challenges, and that's just inspired, frankly. I love it. MOTORSLICE doesn't have a release date yet, but here's hoping its teeth stay sharp when it comes out. Warhammer 40k Mechanicus II is a turn-based tactics game made by Bulwark Studios and published by Kasedo Games. It's a sequel to the first Mechanicus game, which I loved, and this seems to be promising even more this time around. But let's take a step back. It's 40k, grim darkness, far future, blah blah. But we follow the Adeptus Mechanicus, humans who live on Mars and have taken to augmenting themselves with machine parts for religious reasons, because it's Warhammer. The Mechanicus believe in collecting and studying advanced technology, and this puts us naturally up against the Necrons, who are hyper-advanced robot Egyptians with entire tombs of unknowable sciences. In the first game we were an expedition of Mechanicus priests against the Necrons, but in the sequel you can play as either the Mechanicus or the Necrons, and the demo makes deliberate care to make sure that they feel distinct. It's a turn-based tactics game. We have our little guys and we take turns moving around in a grid and beating the little guys who look different to us. It's a tale as old as time. Mechanicus was compared to XCOM a lot when the first game came out, but it has one key difference in that there is no hit chance mechanic. If your target is in range and line of sight, you can blast them. The game is much more about smartly using your turns and actions to gain advantages. Hence why we have a turn order on display at all times. If it's just a symbol, then anyone who hasn't moved yet this round can take a turn. So you have options to make cunning plays before enemies get a chance to move. While both sides have melee and ranged units, as well as more powerful leaders, how you use them might be different. For a start, Mechanicus gather resources from playing in certain ways, such as analysing the enemy and letting their servitors get a hit in the face. This lets them perform special abilities, and lets the big strong leader move around more too. Necrons, however, have just woken up from an ancient slumber and require warming up instead. They gain points on a meter for each piece of damage they do, and the higher the meter is, the more abilities you unlock. Plus, Necrons don't die easily, and might instead just go into a shutdown state and will be revived after a few turns, or the leader might call them in early. Between battles too are choices to make on your excursion that can affect how the next battle can go, or give you other rewards. The demo isn't very long, only showing off the opening tutorial, which shows off these differences, and it's good. Already they feel separate, and we haven't even gotten into the customization and stuff that was in the first game. Overall, gameplay-wise, the demo shows itself to be quite strong. I don't have much to say on the story, as we don't get much beyond conversations between the captains here. I do like that the storytelling method is different for them both. Mechanicus are in the present day, and it's told conventionally.
Good. I would scour this place for its secrets, but it is unwise to tarry. Survey our immediate surroundings and report.
But for the Necrons, there is a narrator who tells you what's going on, and it's almost like you're weaving a chronicle about who you're playing as, and it's really cool and fitting for these metal boners.
It was learned in the ways of scientific theory and practice, albeit only by primitive human standards.
Lastly, I need to talk about the music. If you know Mechanicus, you know that the first game had an incredible soundtrack that leaked outside of the game's fandom. I see people putting Noosphere below their memes even today. So I had expectations when I loaded up, and in the first battle, there was no music. And I was very concerned. This was thankfully a one-off. The music is back, with the same composer, and we're going to be blasting a holy rave through these neon catacombs, just as the Omnissiah wills it. Mechanicus II looks like the kind of game I want it to be, and that makes me happy. It doesn't currently have a release date, and that's probably good. I had a few bugs like units being invisible, and some sounds could be punched up a bit, but overall, I am pleased with how things are going, and look forward to playing it when the machine spirit is pleased. UMIGARI is a first-person fishing game by Chiller's Art. Chiller's Art is a developer that apparently has something of a following for short Japanese horror titles on Steam. I have to admit, I didn't have high expectations going into this. First impressions made me want to dismiss the game outright, in fact. But I ended up kinda loving it, despite an anemic presentation. The premise is simple. You live on an island, and you need to go to school, apparently. However, your boat can't take you there because it sucks. You have to manage your fuel, and since running out in the middle of the ocean would be bad, we need to upgrade the boat using our sick fishing skills. You do this entirely with the harpoon. Charge, throw, reel in, make Queequeg proud. Get a fish and put them in the boat. I like that the amount of fish you can have is dependent on what you can physically fit in your boat. Returning to the market with a mountain of fish behind you is very satisfying. So begins the loop one expects of fishing and ocean games at this point. We catch stuff, sell to upgrade our boat, which allows us to explore farther out, to catch and sell more stuff, to explore farther, etc, etc. It's a simple and effective loop, but where UMIGARI excels is in its incredibly surreal atmosphere. The starting island being just a bunch of objects thrown around might strike you as lazy. I won't deny, there is a strong Unreal Asset Store vibe to the game, but it feels intentionally bizarre to me. You look out to the foggy sea and see strange things out there, like a shrine or a wind farm looming over you. There's maybe other things out there too. Being able to see these at a distance is good for the tone, and good for the design, as you know where you maybe want to explore in the vast blue, and there's some secrets waiting for you, requiring you to do more, like this sonar display to help catch the fish. I'm going to do something I don't usually do and go through what I saw in the demo, so I guess spoilers for the demo? Feel free to skip ahead and play this one yourself if you want, and if the demo is still up. At one point I helped a girl who was talking about a curse or something, so, like Styx said, I invited her to come sail away with me. I hope she doesn't mind all the fish, or getting caught in the spray. Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me. Oh, she's gone. And left a map with a way to go? The game has almost no music, and the ambience is very minimal, but when things break through the calm, they really stand out. Eventually, after upgrading my boat and catching a really big fish, I follow the map, and it takes me to the school. I just about make it with the amount of fuel that I can carry. Oh, the same fish salesman is here too. Fancy that. Here there are different kinds of fish. They're tuna, I think? But all the fish I catch are wearing school uniforms. There's a middle-aged guy here wearing a school uniform too. He maybe used to be a fish and then transformed, and he wants me to catch other fish in the school who bullied him. Nothing feels quite right around here, but I feel compelled to keep going. My fuel tank gets another upgrade, and now I'm going forward to the mall. The map says my boat can reach it more comfortably than when I got to the school at least, but it is a long, long trip. I knew I should have learned a shanty or two to keep myself company. All I can think of is more sticks. Don't know where he got to, mister. What the fuck was that? I think it's gone now, but I'm not sure I have enough fuel. The mall is further than the map said it was. It's going to be really close. And that's the demo for UMIGARI. I'm sure there's more to see in this, or at least it appears to be teasing that it has more under the surface. I won't deny this has some bare bones presentation at times, but everything feels quite deliberately placed. I have played short horror games with similar production levels, but use their resources much less effectively. UMIGARI doesn't have a release date yet, but I can't wait for it to come out because, frankly, I am hooked. Wait. I think I used that pun when I covered Dredge. Why are there so many fishing horror games? Skate Story is a skateboarding game with a story made by Sameng and published by Devolver Digital. I feel I've been hearing about this game for years, and finally it looks like it's coming out, which will make up for any other skateboarding games maybe depressing me earlier this year. And I'm shocked there's multiple games I might be talking about with that. In the game, you play as a demon who wants to eat the moon. We make a deal to get a skateboard to take us to our lunar lunch, but as a consequence, we are now made of glass. So, we must skate carefully but true on our way through the underworld, pulling off sick moves, all to accomplish our cosmic quest. What this all means in terms of gameplay is that a lot of levels start us at point A, and we have to get to point B without biting it along the way. As simple as video games get. Sometimes there will be other things to watch out for, like hazards or speed boosts to help us go, and maybe things will open up to be a bit more freeform. But it's all very easy to pick up and play. Surprisingly easy, actually. From all the gameplay trailers, I had wondered if the game was going for a control style similar to Skate, where I'd be flicking the sticks to pull off tricks, but no. Nor does it have Tony Hawk's arcade style of shredding. You push off with one button, and then there's another button for ollieing. If you want to do tricks, then you'll have to hold one of the shoulder buttons to readjust your feet, and then ollie to pull it off. And that's about it. You can grind automatically if you hop to a ledge or a rail accurately, and you can manual after a flip if you remember to tilt the left stick before you land. You can even perform a stomp move to definitively end a combo in style, which is cool, even if it conjures memories of Tony Hawk 5's stomp, inadvertently at least, because this one actually goes into the flow of the gameplay incredibly well. But as you can probably tell by the way the game looks and by the way the game sounds, you are here for an immersive and trippy skating experience. Vibes are absolutely sublime, and Skate Story manages to take a genre, skateboarding games, that is often a bit goofy and sometimes a little abrasive, and turn it into something that feels spiritual, close to transcendent even. That mystical flow is alive and palpable here in Skate Story, and the incredible visuals, smooth fast movement, and amazing soundtrack all contribute towards this. If I'm playing your game and you're making me think about res, you are doing something incredibly right. That's not to say the game can't still be goofy. The story is taken seriously, but it also knows its own absurdity. I am reminded of Suda 5.1 games where we could have eccentric characters surrounding a solid and stylish core, wholly unique despite resembling other things, fighting and battling Earth's satellite, or philosophers to make them realize the righteousness of our goal of moon munchies, feels appropriate. Skate Story is a pristine gem. The effort that has been put in this long-delayed game is on full display, and it shines as brightly as possible with it. We'll see how impressive its finish is when it drops on December 8th, 2025. I Nima is a narrative-focused adventure game made by Ho Games. I Nima. I get it. This came out at a demo fest back in February, but I only just got to it now. And boy, am I glad that I did. The premise is that you wake up with no memories, and that's a problem. You're a small child, and the adult in the room is sure hoping that you're her daughter, Nima. Through combining words in your brain, you can stimulate the old grey matter into creating new ones, and from there begin to remember things. And it sure seems like you must be Nima, only there's a creeping feeling inside you that something isn't right, and another voice inside your head outright telling you that something's very wrong. The visuals for the game are top-notch, mixing in evocative 2D illustrations and occasionally meshing it with a 3D environment, and the art in the cutscenes makes me uncomfortable in a way that also makes me excited to see where things are going, which is good for a horror title. There is a lot to see in this game, and in a similar vein to something like Slay the Princess, where a lot of the appeal of the game comes from replay value. There are a lot of words you can put together in your head, and you can ask a lot of those words to your, or Nima's mother, and get a lot of different responses. The game is practically begging for you to play it again and again and try different things to see what can give you more insights into Nima's family, or grant you new and possibly unique words to stew in the old noodle, or even to help you learn exactly what Mother Dearest wants to hear. This is not a pleasant conversation between mother and daughter. She is trying to make sure that you are in fact Nima, and what she is doing are specifically referred to as tests. She is looking for positive answers here, and there are responses she would call a negative. Learning more is vital to work out what is going on and what you should be doing. Take your time, think over your next answer carefully. You don't want to say the wrong things while you're tied to a chair, do you? Making the words as intuitive and simple. Again, there's a lot of combinations, and you can learn a lot just from the act of combining words. It helps that Nina can combine herself with just about everything, so you can intuit quickly how this child perceives everything. What I think is cool is that you can kind of mess yourself up with this a little, following a useless rabbit hole until your words are filled with a topic that isn't actually very important. It reminds me of developing a new hyperfixation and having it loop around in my brain whilst serious life events are happening all around me. I'm sorry, Mom, my head is full of Styx albums. You can also explore your, or Nima's, room and find out more from the environment. Some things are hidden, some locked away, and it begins to paint a picture of a family that wasn't happy even before whatever happened to Nima. But eventually, the only way to progress will be to knock for Mommy and take the tests all over again. I will let one thing slip to save anyone who plays the demo some headaches, and that's that the demo only has one ending. So don't go too crazy trying to change how it all plays out, and instead use your replays to discover more things during the day. The full game doesn't have a release date, but will apparently have multiple endings and stretch for several days more than the demo does. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if I really am Nima. CAIRN is a climbing survival game made and published by the Game Bakers, who previously made Fury and Haven. The demo for this released some time ago, but it was updated for the next fest this time around. This is also far from the first time I've brought a climbing game here, and you can practically call it a genre unto itself at this point, but CAIRN seems to be doing a lot that presses my buttons outside of just climbing. In the game, we play as a young woman named Ava, who seeks to climb a big mountain called Kami.
Are you ready for Kami?
To become the first human to set foot on the summit of Kami.
Kami, you are really living up to your name.
That's the basic gist of it. There is apparently more of a story to this game, but we don't see much of it during the demo, so we'll skip straight to the clambering. The game operates similarly to other climbing games, where you control your limbs whilst on handholds to reach other handholds. However, this game also wants you to consider your whole body as well as your hands. So you also have to find perches for your feet too, and consider your posture so your weight is evenly and comfortably distributed and you're not straining one appendage too much over the others. The limb you control is automatically selected, but you can turn on manual limb selection if you want. Personally, I found it just easier to reset the active limb if I wanted to use a different one. This all makes it a fair bit more complicated compared to other climbing games. You start in a training facility to get used to things, and you only need to do 3 of these walls before moving on, but there are 8 of them. And doing all of them will make you appreciate all the ways in which having to account for the fact you are an entire person battling against gravity is going to complicate matters. But the game will give back in return. You are not limited to strictly handholds. You can place your hand theoretically anywhere on a wall, providing an avenue to push yourself off from, whilst not necessarily having much in the way of grip. Your body weight can be a hindrance, or it can be your greatest asset, so long as you have the technique to utilize it. I highly recommend that you do the advanced courses in the training facility, just so you can develop your skills in a safe environment. Don't be afraid to look around with the camera and try to identify where a hold can go. But also, make sure to look around on the floor and take the loose change and buy food from the vending machine, because when you set out, climbing the main wall up through the roof, you're out there. your climb begins. See, this is a climbing survival game. You need to take care of yourself, eat food, drink water, and rebandage those hands to stay in tip-top condition. The time of day will also change, which might make it harder for you to see the handholds when you're on the wall. But you know what the best aspect of survival games are? The freedom. CAIRN lets you pick your path. Sure, you can't climb up a sheer solid wall, but there's many moments where I recognized, yeah, I could do that. It's up to you to work out which route works best for you. But once you're up there, you're committed. Make sure you place pitons as little moments to have rest, and also to catch you if you were to fall. Jesus Christ, I need to place more pitons. And then, once you make it up the sheer cliff, you'll see...
Doesn't look so bad, does it?
This isn't even the mountain. Oh, good lord. CAIRN is coming out early next year, where I'm hoping it'll make its mark. Also, there is an option to turn on the ghosts of other players. Do not do this for your first playthrough. I cannot see where I am climbing. Oh, these ghosts are going to make me into an actual ghost.
Bubsy 4D!
That's right, he's back. Bubsy 4D is a 3D platformer starring Bubsy.
Whoa, why'd you pause the game? You're not snacking, are you? Don't you dare touch me with those dirty fingers!
Made by Fabraz and published by Atari. I'm gonna be straight with you, I have never played a Bubsy game, but I can't not be aware of Bubsy by his reputation. Bubsy 3D is up there with the likes of Sonic 06 for bad games that every aspiring angry reviewer on YouTube just had to talk about as if it killed their closest family member. So bringing Bubsy back feels weird. And I'm also aware this isn't even the first attempt at a Bubsy revival we've had. So, what makes this one special? Well, it's good. I played it, and it's good. Let's take it from the top. Bubsy 4D stars Bubsy the Bobcat, who, far from being the smart-mouthed edgy 90s kid anymore,
What could possibly go wrong?
has mellowed into a mid-30s fun uncle.
Hey! I'm not that old. Am I?
Some baddies known as woolies have kidnapped sheep, and now the sheep are evil, and they're taking something called the Golden Fleece. Again, I don't know Bubsy, so I don't quite get it. But it's a call for adventure if I ever heard one. So Bubsy, and the whole Bubsy family, fly away in a spaceship to sort this whole mess out, and make wisecracks along the way. Mostly at Bubsy's expense.
I'm Bubsy. You must have heard of me. B-list celebrity extraordinaire.
Never heard of you.
We'll talk more about this in a bit. More importantly is how it plays. It's a 3D platformer. You run around and you jump around. It's not rocket science. But Bubsy has moves. There's like 3 different kinds of supplemental jumps you can tie to your regular jump. Like a little extra height from cartoonishly kicking the air, and also a glide move for distance, and a pounce too for a fast leap forward that also lets you move quicker after landing, and will also let you climb surfaces a short distance. But wait, there's more! For some ungodly reason, Bubsy can now inflate himself. This probably makes a certain section of the internet really happy. That's right, speedrunners. This ball form makes you super fast, and is the perfect solution to zip through a level. Each level can be completed in a number of ways for a number of rewards, kind of like Crash Bandicoot. So there's just beating it, and then there's beating it under par, but then there's also one for getting all of these little doodads in a level. And just like Crash Bandicoot, I usually end by missing just one and feel a blood vessel burst in my brain. But all these moves, and pretty strict time limits on these challenges, made me realize that Bubsy has tech. There is depth to the platforming in this Bubsy game that requires you to play around and experiment how the game plays. Bubsy is deep. And do you know what else Bubsy is? Fun. Bubsy 4D is a surprisingly fun game with interesting mechanics and challenge to match. And do you know what else Bubsy is? Charming. No, I'm being dead serious here.
How about that? I bet no one's gonna call me old now.
Bubsy is no longer trying to be the coolest person in the room. Bubsy is frequently mocked for being old and outdated, but he takes it in a pretty good-natured way. He might protest meekly, but he doesn't get mad or embarrass himself. He's chill. He wears a tie and a jacket now. His tuft of chest hair tells you he's matured and is relaxing into a daddy-like persona now. And there's a certain section of the internet that's really happy with that too.
What could possibly go wrong? Why do I keep saying that?
That's not to say he's got rid of all his old quirks. He might still repeat himself a little, and his cracks might make you groan more than anything.
Smells like old leather. I bet it's Woolies. Smells like old leather. Bet it's Woolies.
But I never disliked Bubsy here. I feel I'd be a huge jerk if I did.
Whatever you do, please don't turn on tank controls.
I did hate the camera though, if I have to complain about something. Sometimes the camera in this game is actively trying to make my life worse with the way it bumps into and behind objects. That's my one big criticism for this game. But Bubsy? Bubsy I'm cool with. I kind of want to root for Bubsy. I mean, he's the underdog, right? Mascot platformers are years past their heyday, and most of the competition either disappeared or just released remastered collections of their old work, like an old band riding the nostalgia of their fans from years gone by. Bubsy did the same thing. But now, here's that bobcat, that furry fiend who was so maligned for years with their older work trashed and called some of the worst of all time, and they say with a shy little smile, "Hey, I know what happened before, but I made something new. What do you think?" And it's good. In fact, it's seemingly better than anything that came before. When you look at that old bobcat and realize they're just trying to keep going and update themselves a little while still remaining true to the old ways, how can you hate him? Sure, he remembers the times gone by, but he's not the same. He's cleaned up his act. He's changed. He's a different bobcat now, and more willing to sit back and have some fun with you. He's a little apologetic and shy about his past, but you tell him, "Nah, don't feel bad, man. It's all water under the bridge. Look at you. Look at how far you've come." Is that not the story we want to see? The future we want to experience? And the message that we want to hold aloft as an example to live by? That no matter how badly we stumble, how far down we fall, there is still a chance for us to pick ourselves back up and climb out of the darkness? Can you find it in yourself to forgive Bubsy? Can you forgive yourself your own failures? Can you walk forward, away from the past you don't want to be a part of anymore? Can you accept the guiding and helpful hands of others and the love of yourself despite everything? Can you at least try to, even a little bit, just to see what would happen? After all,
What could possibly go wrong?
hi, still not dead. It's actually pretty busy here, so I'm gonna keep this short. Thank you to my patrons for their patience and support. Patrons can ask questions and Q&A segments at the end of videos, which we'll get into right now. Is there a genre or style of game you feel is underrepresented, and get excited if you see during events like this? I want more urban fantasy RPGs. I don't see them at Next Fest, and that makes me sad. I have Persona and TWEWY and other games I hear won't do much for me. They don't have to be anime. I'd encourage it not to be even. Just someone, please. Make these! Alright, Vampire Masquerade 2 is coming out soon. Say that in the near future it's possible to add smells to games that can change dynamically. What genre do you think would be most improved by this addition? Well, the obvious answer is cooking games. I feel most other genres would get kinda tiresome, like a constant smell of gore in a shooter or rotten mold in a horror game. Actually, give it to Tetsuya Mizuguchi, the producer of Rez, and his team. They could probably make something that will give you an out-of-body experience. What is your reaction to the recent purchase of EA? Ownership aside, it's pretty sad a lot of good people might lose their jobs to practices so scummy it continually shocks me that it's even legal. So, yeah. Is there an absolutely terrible video game that you love, despite its flaws? Can I take love because of its flaws? Like Rogue Warrior? If not, depending on who you talk to, Kane and Lynch 2. Some people consider that one of the worst games. I've been holding the flag for it for a while, but there has been some re-evaluations for it lately. But what gets me is that they focus on the wrong aspects of it. Maybe a subject for a video at some point. If you could make a video on any topic that wasn't related to video games, what would you pick? Well, funny you should mention that. The next video isn't going to be on a video game. It's going to be on a book. From someone very familiar to this channel. We're going back.